I will tell you the truth. 10 negative aspects about life here in Canada and what I thought of Europe. This is the third video of a series of 5 that I will share a manual. How is life here in Toronto? I'm Prila, and in the past 4 years I lived in Europe. There, I lived in Germany and also in England. The reason why I'm comparing a country, Canada, with a continent is because in many aspects, in my opinion, the countries in Europe, they are pretty similar. So previously, I recorded a video showing 10 positive aspects about life in both places, and now let's only talk about the negative aspects of it. So let's make kind of a competition between them, between Canada and Europe. And let's see which one will win in the categories. For example, if we talk about food, meat here in Canada, it's so expensive. It's like out of this world. So maybe if you are vegetarian, you won't suffer that much. But and buying chicken, meat, and some types of fish, it's so expensive. This is a super negative aspect in my opinion. This includes restaurants as well. They are so pricey and you have to give tips here. In Europe, believe me or not, but I don't have much to say about it. Seriously, I love the food pricing there in Europe. We lived in Germany and England, but we traveled for different countries over there. And in each one, I observed the price and they are like so cheap. They have like great quality and yeah, nothing bad in my opinion to say about food in Europe. And how about housing? Canada tends to be a bit expensive, but they offer loads. In a condo, you can find a swimming pool, gym, every amenity, over there. And they offer lots, but they require lots as well. But comparing Canada and Europe, I think Europe's the worst one about housing because they tend to be older and they don't offer that much for you. Again, I'm talking about my experience and of course it will depend where you are in Europe, but in general, I think Europe's worse about housing than here in Canada. Schools. In Canada, the school hours are extended. I mean, they usually start at 8:30, 9 a.m. and they go until 3:30. And in Europe, they tend to start at 8 or 8 something and they finish at 2 to something, sometimes 3. And I pretty believe that they have more vacation or free time in Europe, so Canada, but if you were looking for quality in your studies, there is a saying, I cannot prove that this is right or wrong, that in Europe, schools, they are easier than the schools here in Canada. Number 4, health. In both places, you will have to wait for a while if you need a treatment that's not like an emergency. But in Canada, it's difficult finding a family doctor. I heard that some people had to wait for 3 years to be seen by a doctor, while in Europe I think it's a bit easier to find a family doctor, but you have this waiting list if it's not an emergency. And in both places, they will treat what you are complaining about. They do not prevent from disease. I say this because back in Brazil, I know that if I went to the doctor, I would ask for a checkup and they would require from me many different types of, blood tests, to check my iron, to check this, that. And here, I have to check my symptoms before going to the doctor. Here, what it says in both places, right? So you have to check your symptoms because before going to the doctor, and you say, oh, I'm feeling like this and I'm thinking, for example, I have got an iron deficiency, and they will check only your iron, nothing else. So comparing the health in both places, I don't know which one is the worst. I think both places, they have huge negative aspects in my opinion. Okay, but let's go to the fashion for clothing. Canada, people will think only on the comfort, on the warmth, and on being, with something over you because the cold weather is heavy here. So if you look for fashion and for, being pretty and or handsome, maybe Canada is not that much into fashion, so you may find that difficulty. Of course, we can find and make beauty everywhere. But comparing to Europe, Europe is like the heart of fashion, as we mentioned before. But a huge problem is that everything's so cheap in Europe, so people tend to buy more, and when you accumulate things. You accumulate scarves, gloves, and everything else. I'm not saying that this doesn't happen here in Canada. I'm just saying that the culture of shopping is more intensified in Europe in general. Seriously, I have a friend of mine back in Europe that has got more than 100 pairs of jeans. Can you believe it? And we find many people that has, thousands of pairs of shoes, of this, of that. And yeah, it's unbelievable. So about fashion and clothing, I think Europe would get the worst of it because, I don't know, it's easy shopping and then you get accumulate things. And yeah, here in Canada you have just the basic that you need. I don't know, you know better than me. And let's go to judge travel. A negative aspect about traveling in Canada is that you get a bit limited to the USA, Mexico, the Caribbean. Going to Europe or even to South America, it's so expensive. You will spend so much money going to this place that you like kind of give up and you end up going just, to the USA or Mexico or the Caribbean. And the negative aspect about traveling around Europe is that, well, you can go everywhere, so this is positive. Oh, okay. You tend to go often to the same place. For example, we know many families that they are used to spend their vacations on Mallorca, for example. It's a dream, don't get me wrong, but you end up going always to that place, and we know other family that they always go to have their vacation in France. So they go to the countryside and they stay there, kind of have the opportunity to travel around Europe because you have many different cultures and the territory is not that big, but then you end up going to the same place often. So maybe this is a negative aspect. But I think Canada wins with the most negative one in this situation. What do you think? And if we talk about transport and gas, right now, November 2022, Europe's facing a huge crisis, so it's not fair for us to compare both places and Canada will win. Prices here in Canada, they are increasing, but it doesn't compare with the prices in Europe right now. So I would say that Europe gets the most negative one in this. And the same goes for utilities. Again, because of the crisis, it will depend where you are, but utilities in general will be cheaper here in Canada, so another negative aspect to Europe. Then online shopping. Well, I believe that Canada will get the thumbs down this time. I think Canada is more restrict. Personally, when I was moving from Germany to England, even though with the Brexit, I could transport many items I had in my house. Coming here, I had to get rid of all the liquids, all these, all that. It was like very restrict. So this applies as well for online shopping sometimes. Things can get stuck and things can take longer here in Canada, maybe because we are like on the super north of the globe. I don't know. But I prefer online shopping back there in Europe. And the last topic, people. Here in Canada, people are friendly, people are nice, but only when you are walking on the streets and talking to them or even in stores. Not everyone, but getting close to them, it's not an easy task. While in Europe, people may be rude to you, but it's kind of who they are, and since you know them, they become your best friends. So for both places, a tip I give to you is that you may find easier finding friends through communities. There are many bike or cycling communities, there are many running groups, painting groups, book clubs, and others. And maybe you can find some friends in those places and environments. And I don't know what else of negative could I include. Just let me know in the comments below and tell me as well, please, your thoughts about it all. We are in Canada right now, we left Europe, and I think it was mostly for a better quality of life. If you are to choose between two places, just check it out, every single thing, to evaluate and make your decision based on knowledge. Know the positive aspects of the place, but know as well the negative aspects, because you kind of know what you can expect. For every person, for every experience, it will be different, but at least you are aware of what to expect. I hope this video have helped you somehow, and see you on the next one.